Hello, and welcome to the Kickstart Your Confidence 21-Day Global Summit. We would like to welcome you and let you know that we will begin shortly. We are live from Victoria, BC, Canada. Let us know where you're attending from in the comments. We also wanted to share our content note with you and remind folks that the information that is provided herein is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This information is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease, but to inform you, the participant, of alternative methods for healing. In all health-related situations, qualified healthcare professionals should always be consulted. Some of our experts are doctors, naturopaths, and other medical professionals. However, you are encouraged to consult your own healthcare professional. In other words, no doctor-patient relationship is informed or suggested at any time during the series. Please also keep in mind that the host finds a lot of information from credible third parties and shares it here in this online forum when it is relevant. By participating in this online event, you acknowledge and agree that the third-party content is not created by the host and is shared with you, the participant, for educational, entertainment, and informational purposes only. And in no way do they guarantee a pledge or endorsement by the host for you, the participant, to take action on what the third party suggests or recommend on their sites or in their interviews. Please understand that this event provides general information only and is never a substitute for professional and medical advice. Most importantly, please consult your healthcare provider if you suspect a serious health concern. Always seek the advice of your mental health professional or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding your condition. Your health is your wealth. Don't delay in taking the proper steps in saving your life. By the same token, we are also not providing any financial advice during this series. A summit, online forum, workshop, event is meant to inform. Taking action for your own health, finances, and life is meant to create change. Never disregard professional advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard or read that was shared during the online summit. Our platform provides an open and safer space for the critical and civil exchange of ideas that aren't often talked about when it comes to menopause and aging. Some content in this series will include topics and themes that some viewers may find difficult. We will always do our best to give you a proper heads up to prepare yourself mentally and emotionally beforehand. Thank you so much and welcome and enjoy today's show. Welcome to the Kickstart Your Confidence Summit. Learn useful secrets to manage and prepare for a happy menopause without breaking a sweat, losing sleep, or opportunity. My name is Tira Green, and today I have the pleasure of introducing Gina R. Farrar. Now, before I get into everything and all the yummy stuff she's going to share with us, I want to just introduce her a little bit. So she is the creator and founder of the Feminine Roadmap podcast, and she really helps nurture and empower midlife women and beyond to really just have fulfilling best lives possible. And really, she works on mindset as well. And that's something that we all need a little bit of help with, right? So I am so happy to have her here to help us navigate some of the challenges that happen during midlife and beyond. And so welcome, Gina.
Thank you so much, Tara, for having me here. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm so excited for our chat because, mindset is something that it's kind of like a buzzword, right? But I feel like you've been doing it for a while. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey as, someone who has been a podcast producer and speaking about topics that have influence and impact our midlifers?
Well, the short version is that, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to give my part of the story, because when I hit about 50, I realized that I wanted to have these conversations and there wasn't much out there in the market. So I thought, if I do a podcast, that is a more broad way of having a conversation. I can reach more women who are looking for the same input that I'm looking for. And moving into midlife, which you and I spoke about when we had our initial conversation, there's a lot of mindsets, there's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of conversations in the world that are being pushed back at us as women that are not positive, and they're not uplifting, and they're not empowering. They're disempowering us to really recognize that if from 18 to 50 or 48 is 30 years, right? But from 48 to 78 is another 30 years. We have 2 whole lifetimes to live. And so when we think of midlife as a time of winding down, that is a false mindset. We have the ability to recognize that we have potentially another 30 years. So that mindset piece, that conversation around this is the most powerful season of our lives because we've done all the building and the doing for others, our families, our businesses. Now we can begin to shift toward maybe a little bit more of what we have been dreaming of doing. We can begin to pour into that cup a little bit. So the mindset shift from all that we've been and done, which has been fantastic, and it's right for that season, to shift to this season and not listen to the world's media ideas about what it is, but what it really is, which is the most powerful season of our lives.
Yes, and you mentioned the term false mindset. Are there any
Mm-hmm.
other false mindsets that you've seen are patterns when it comes to midlife and
Mm.
folks entering midlife?
One of the false mindsets when I was looking for resources for myself, it was either trying to look 20 for the rest of your life, right? Or we were having some kind of crisis, or, we were going to hit menopause and it was all downhill from here, literally. Like your only hope was to pour into, plastic surgery and all the things to try to never be who you are. Now, I'm not knocking plastic surgery, but when the mindset is that's what it takes to have value, worth, and attractiveness, I was chafing at that because it is difficult to begin to change, but we can choose in our mindset to look at ourselves away from that. I was at hottest when I was in my 20s to what really is attractive, what really is sexy, what really is empowering. If we're just limited to our bodies, why are we owning that mindset? Why can we not expand it to what we've done, who we are, who we've become, how we impact the world, the gifts and abilities that we have? That is where our true beauty and power comes from. But the world wants us to feel small, it seems like. You get this real idea that, she's 50. Oh, isn't that a shame? It's like, really? It's a shame. I have been to a couple of funerals recently, and I don't mean to be a downer, but let's think about this. Every day is a gift.
Yes.
That's a mindset. I get to choose to say, maybe my boobs aren't where they started. Maybe my skin's not as bouncy as it used to be, but who am I? Am I just my shell, or am I mind, body, spirit, a whole person who's got so much more to give? And that shift in mindset away from age to who we are and what we have to offer is so important at this time of life.
And you're not being a downer with that because, like menopause, like aging, death is also a natural part
Yeah.
of life, right?
Yes. Yes. And it's not always expected, if you will. So my mindset shift, my word for 2023 is shift, because there are shifts that need to take place in the way we view ourselves, our world, our value, our own talents and abilities, not in an arrogant sort of way, but the way we choose to think about ourselves, our place in the world, and the world is huge into whether or not we're going to live into the purpose and the talents and abilities we've been given, whether we're going to move forward or sit back and keep ourselves from being all that we can be.
Wow. So one thing that is kind of popping up is this level of awareness,
Mm.
self-awareness. So can you speak into the importance of awareness, or how you cultivate awareness when you're working with folks and speaking to them?
Yes. So, as you know, awareness is the first step, because if I'm not aware of something, I cannot face it. I can't deal with it. It can't be handled. If I don't know it exists, I don't have any power to make a shift. So awareness is your first step. And what that looks like, it's to bring it away from a nice big word down to something that's actionable. Awareness is stopping and listening to yourself. What are you saying to and about yourself? What stories do we tell? Those stories are often actually said to us still by people very close to us. Oh, you've always been fill in the blank. You know, your sister is, but you're not, or I am, but you're not, or even on the converse, like you've always been perfect, or you've always been a perfectionist, or, these stories that we hear, those are beliefs, those are mindsets. They've become a part of our identity. And the first step is becoming aware of, if somebody gives you a compliment, what's your first response? If somebody says you're really good at this, what's your first response? It is the thing that comes out of your mouth without you thinking that's going to give you the clue to what you really believe about yourself.
When you're trying to make this shift and starting to look at your awareness, how do you work with that? How do you start teasing out or analyzing, you know, next steps or how to go forward, especially if you're confused?
So the first step is awareness. And that is the idea of tuning in and listening to yourself. Okay. But once you've tuned in and listened to yourself, you have to analyze that information, not blame. No one needs to be the bad guy. There doesn't need to be guilt and shame. There doesn't need to be any kind of form of negative emotion attached to it. There might be negative emotion attached to it, but that's what we need to analyze. How do I really feel about this story? Is this story who I want to continue to be? Because as we grow up and people say things about us, we don't question it. We accept it because we're children, right? Well, now we've lived all of this life. We've done all these things, and maybe they're true because we've lived into them, but do they still serve us? This is the analysis. Is this still what I want to be? Was it ever really me, or was I playing a role that I thought I was expected to play? So it becomes, okay, now oh, wow, I say that a lot, right? That's the first step. Pardon me. I'm so sorry. The scarf is a lot bigger than anything I normally wear. And so it's like literally, let me move it. There we go.
Take your time. It's okay.
This is bizarre. This is how, what my mindset on this is, if we're going to talk about that. My mindset on this is when there's a lot of opposition, there's a lot of opportunity.
Right? Thank you for that. Thank you for saying that, because I needed to hear that.
This opposition means it's meant to be said, and there's something trying to keep us from saying it, but that ain't happening today.
I love the way you think. You're awesome.
So once we have this awareness piece, right, and we've begun to really tune in and listen to ourselves, it is helpful to have another person who's like hearing what you're saying and actually just saying it right back. No edit. If you don't have that, just listen to your responses in specific situations and begin to question, analyze, like we're talking about. Analyze, okay, I said that. Is it true? Is it true to me, or is it true because I've been told that? Begin to analyze why these stories are so much a part of who you are, and really begin to decide, right? We choose how we want to be in our mind and in our body and in our life. And they're all connected, because the thoughts that we think lead to the words that we say, lead to the actions that we take, lead to the life that we live. So our mindset is legitimately the beginning of the journey that we take. The beauty is, as we analyze, it's not a one-shot deal and can be adjusted. And that's the important part to the next step, right? We need to continually be aware, question, analyze it. Is it serving me? And then we need to adjust, reframe, rethink how we think. And it takes work. I'm not going to lie. But let me tell you, Tara, it is imperative to live a life that's in full alignment, to be speaking to and about yourself in a way that's in alignment with who you really are on the inside, because we all grow, we all change. Maybe that was true 20 years ago. Maybe not. But the only way to know is to go through these processes. And you're going to go through these steps like this, right? Aware, adjust, analyze, adjust, aware. Like the order is to start with awareness, move to the analysis and the adjustment, but you're going to find yourself fluxing in those 3 steps pretty much probably for the rest of your life, because we come to midlife after having sometimes had a marriage, or two, and children, and maybe single parenting, maybe being single and never being married. Now that's a whole nother mindset.
Right.
We didn't, I'm not sure we want to go down that road, but let me tell you, how do we feel and how do we identify our value based on these mindsets that are preset in our culture at large? What is a woman who's not married? What is a woman who XYZ, right? I don't hear people talking about a man being married, unmarried, with children, no children. Should he have a career? Should he not have a career? And I am not a big fan of the man-woman fight, but it's real. And that's one of the mindsets that we get to choose. I choose not to jump into that pool and get bitter and angry about it. But what I do choose to do is say, okay, that may be true in a general cultural sense, as the world is a culture. Choose any country. Some are much more intense than others.
Yeah.
But who do I choose to be? And how brave and bold is it going to be for us? And that takes courage.
Mm. Everything you said there is so powerful. And, you know, I look at like myself and I'm saying, okay, yeah, I can, you know, style flex through all the different, you know, adjustment and analysis and awareness. And I'm okay with that, you know, because I've had a lot of practice. But then what do you say to someone who's like, you know what, that's never going to work for me, or I'm stuck here, or you know what, maybe my time is up, you know, as far as like having more opportunity, and you know, menopause is debilitating them, or what do you say to that?
Well, first of all, it's important to look back over what we've been through, what we've done, what we've endured, and how we've gotten to this point. There was a point in time in the past where we could have never imagined ourselves doing and being who we are now. So we're just perpetually in a state of what we know and what we don't know. We've been doing it our whole lives. A baby is born not able to speak, not able to feed itself, not able to walk, not able to use a toilet, not able to tie their shoes. But are we all using the toilet, eating, feeding ourselves, tying our shoes? Yes. Why? Because it is in us to grow and change and become more capable. What I would say is, how badly do you want to make that change? Because for some people, Tara, it's actually okay. This is good enough, whatever this is for them. In this moment, maybe that's how they feel. Okay, I might say, is that really true though? Is this a defense mechanism? Is this a protective point in your life because somewhere you've learned that if you think a little too big, you're going to get knocked onto your seat? Because that's even part of the mindset. We are afraid, and some women have been taught very well to stay small. And some of us are comfortable there. Why don't we have that conversation? Okay, do you really not want it, or are you just too comfortable to take a risk? So I would push back a little bit on those comfortable, feeling like a knee-jerk, protective response. And I would want to spend some time fleshing those things out to make sure that it's actually true to the deepest, deepest part of you. Not that first you that shows up when something gives resistance.
Yes. Whew. Okay. Wow. We're getting in there, you know. So, you know, again, I'm focusing myself as, you know, someone who is, you know, new to really taking time to themselves, right? Because as you mentioned, maybe they've been a parent or a caregiver, like, you know, they're in that sandwich generation of
Yes.
caring for the elders and then also caring, right, for the children. We're caring for everyone else. And, you know, and the resistance is there. I mean, it's there, you know. So what do you say to someone, you know, that's like, okay, I want to push through this resistance, but I don't know how.
Right. Right. This is something I've learned from several of my mentors. We always jump to the how, don't we? How can I do this? A better question to ask is, what can I do? What can I do? What's the next best step? Not the quantum leap, not the giant change that's going to come tomorrow, because look back over your life. Is that even a thing? Very rarely is there a quantum leap. There can be quick change, but it doesn't tend to be quantum in our lives. Maybe the effects are, do you know what I'm saying? But it's back to the mindset. We need to ask ourselves better questions. Instead of, myself included, looking at this giant thing, whatever it is, job change, relationship change, some big goal I've always wanted to do, but I've been afraid, whatever it is, the reality is I'm not going to get there tomorrow. But if I don't shift how I think about it and I don't shift how I approach it, it's not going to get any closer. So what can I do? And I'm telling you that this awareness of that resistance that we create in ourselves, we need to be aware. Once we're aware, we need to analyze it. Why am I resisting? Is this what I even really want? Right? And then that adjustment is, well, if it's what I really want, and I'm aware that it gives me complete terror because it's so unknown to me right now, then it's like a cold ocean. Put one toe in, just one, until the toe is numb. And then put the second toe in until it's numb. Do you know what I mean? Like, just take the steps and you'll know. How many times have you taken steps in the past? You get to a point where your spirit says, yep, or okay, this is not it. Like, we need to trust ourselves so much more in this season of life. We've literally lived so much life. If you're 30, look back to 18 and see how different of a person you are. Just those 12 years, it's literally quantum for most people. The 30s are your building years, man. You are building a life, you're building a business, you're building a career, you're building. The 30s should be like considered construction years. Most people in their 30s that I know and that I've mentored and coached, that is what's happening. You are in full build mode. The 40s, you get some fruit from that building. You're still doing some building, but the fruit's beginning to be, come to fruition. You hit your 50s and you are kind of on a different end of that. You are reframing, rebuilding, restructuring. You are choosing the parts of you that you love the most, and you begin to assemble them. And that's what becomes that next decade. And once you get past a certain age, and for some people it's mid 40s, some people it's mid 50s, you begin to care less about these other people's opinions because they're not paying your bills, they're not living your lives, and they're not you. Even your closest friend is not you. We have got to learn as women to stand on our own opinions of ourselves. And if they're not good, fix them. And if we're not happy, move in a direction, any direction. Quit worrying about right. If it's not immoral, illegal, unbiblical, just go for it. Calm down, as they say, calm your tits and give it a shot.
Yes. I love the way that you speak. It's so uplifting. And what I liked what you just did is you kind of broke it down. And I feel like sometimes, we get told, okay, this is what's going to happen at this point, but then there's like these gaps.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So just having that clarity also, I think, brings awareness. And just when you're dealing, with folks who are, finally starting to see, the light, how do you encourage them to continue on that path so that they don't, freak out if something changes all of a sudden, right?
Yes. When we are growing and changing, as I'm sure you know, it gets uncomfortable. And I'm not saying anything new here, but we must be comfortable with the uncomfortable. We must expect the discomfort to be a part of the journey. And if you look at life as a journey, we have all these mini destinations along the way, right? Like if you wanted to get married, you got married, that's a journey, but you got married. Okay. So you got to the place you were headed. Now you're on another journey, or you had children. That was a destination, but then it leads to another journey. So every step that we take might be the initial destination. And you might want to sit for a minute and take in the beauty of where you've gotten yourself, but recognize that nothing is, I've done it, check it off, it goes on a box. It doesn't go on a shelf. Life is a flexible, moving, living, breathing experience. So that discomfort, we really do need to question, back to the steps that I shared. Become aware of the discomfort. Don't take the first thing you say to yourself. Oh, I just really don't think I want to do this. Really? Is that true? Let's dig a little deeper. Why do you say that? Answer. Why do you say that? Answer. Why do you say that? Have you heard of the 7 whys before?
Yes.
Yes. This is a perfect example of a time to use 7 whys. Why yourself down. And if you end up in tears, you're getting close to the right answer. And I don't mean to be, like, oh, if you're not crying, you're not close. But there are some walls that our fear is so powerful that our emotions get locked, and we literally can't see because that emotion is holding us hostage. So we have to be willing to be uncomfortable, ask ourselves some good questions, get yourself a coach, someone outside of your story. So not your best friend, not your mom, not, like, get outside where someone doesn't have biases toward who you are, and allow them to hear your story, reflect it back. And that's when you get to decide, is this fear worth hanging on to this fear, worth giving up my potential? Is it? Is this resistance real? Or do I just feel so out of my depth? And what's wrong with being out of our depth? How many hundreds of thousands of times have we been out of our depth? Somehow, back to the story of the world at midlife, all these things about women, we've embodied them, and we think there's an end to our potential. There is not an end to anyone's potential until they are dead and gone. If you are here and you are breathing and you are seeing this, girl, you have things to do, places to go, things to accomplish, the person you're becoming. Get curious about that instead of judgmental or fearful. When the fear rises, just get curious. Almost treat the fear like another person. That's interesting. Let's talk about that. Let's think about that. Like, separate yourself from the fear as if it's another part of you, because it really is. It's not you. If we've allowed it to be us, that's a decision or a habit. But the fear can be in the back seat of your driving car. You're not ever going to be rid of it, but it doesn't have to drive the dang car. It's time to kick it to at least the passenger seat and get curious about why. Why are we resistant to the things that we know deep down our heart is longing for? What is that and why? And there's no pat answer. I hate to be, the bearer of bad news. There's not a 7-step program that works for every single person, but these steps that I've shared today, the awareness, the analyzing, and the adjusting, those are good for everybody. The difference is how you apply those to what your life and your thought processes are. It's going to look different. And that grace and that courage that's needed, give yourself that grace. Get curious and just trust the process. Don't sell yourself short. If you're 35, 45, you could literally live another 50 to 60 years. Put that on paper and go, I'm done. Heck no. No. You might have more life left than the life you've already lived. Even me, I'm 55. I could live another 40 years. It's possible. Am I going to give up because I'm old Or am I going to pitch the word old out and go, I am human. I got things to do and gifts. And maybe at some point I'll slow down, but that I'm still not dead. And if you're in a season of building, if I'm talking to 35-year-olds, maybe you can't do all that I can do at this season in my life, but I've been caregiving and set aside all my dreams for a season. So understand, don't look ahead and think everything's going to be the way you thought it was going to be, because that's what happened to me. And that's why the podcast happened. The reality is we can't predict the future, but we can hedge our bets by the way we think and the choices that we make and the life we live today. We can move in a direction we want to move. If we do nothing, we're like a car careening out of control. Why not make these shifts and begin to hedge our bets towards a life that lights us on fire?
So good. And if you want to just share the one takeaway that if someone didn't hear anything at all that you just said, right? And you're like, okay, I want you to lean in for a second, because I just want to, this is the one takeaway I hope you get from my message. What would that be?
Gosh, I have so many things that I would love to say, but I'm going to land here. You are here because you matter, you have value, and you have a purpose. There is not a person on this planet that doesn't have those three things. Now, what are you going to do about it?
So good. So good. I just feel like, just from my perspective, hearing the way that you speak, I've just been so uplifted, because there's been some technical difficulties that we've had, and and I've gotten to a place of like, okay, I can just let things go. But there was a time when I wasn't like that, when I ever thought everything was my fault, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you speak into us, and I'm just like, oh right, no, this is exactly where we're supposed to be. Everything's okay, and I still have value, even if the technology fails, right? I am not that identity. I am a whole being, and I can have compassion and grace for myself in all spaces. And so I just really appreciate you for that. So if anyone wants to get like coaching from you, or they want to listen to your podcast, can you just give us a little bit of information of how to stay connected with you and your amazing energy?
Absolutely. So the free gift is actually a 30-minute call with me, just a mindset reset call. So if you click that link and go to my Calendly, if there's a time that's not available, but if my times don't work for you, please reach out to me at ourtribe@feminineroadmap.com. And in the subject line, put Kickstart Your Confidence, and we will make sure to make it happen. And you can find me at Feminine Roadmap Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Feminine Roadmap, as well as Gina_R_Farrar, which is Farrar. And I would love to hear from you. So email me, reach out on a DM and Instagram. I'm totally here, because, this is the important part. We need to have the courage to also reach out to people that can encourage us, have lived a little bit more life than I'm always reaching forward to women. And I'm here to share with you what I know. And together we can find the answers and the solutions. Sometimes it just takes another voice, and it just flips the switch on. And it's all the beauty of relationship and this journey. Just trust yourself. Learn to listen to your gut a little bit more. That is the other message that I would have. Definitely, if there's some kind of tickle in your belly, give it some time.
Give it some time. Well, I had a tickle in my belly to reach out to you, and I'm so grateful that I did, because you are very accessible. And anyone watching this, we're all busy, right? But you can never be too busy to just take a chance and reach out, right? Is that what you're getting at?
Absolutely. Because, even if you have one contact with one person, there's always something that we can take from that interaction. Something we can learn. Even negative interactions have something for us to learn. like even our own responses, it might be a clue to us, like, why did I respond that way? Why did I feel that way? And it can be a growth point, you know. We are not always on the upside of life, but that's okay. That's that back to that grace and that curiosity, and surrounding yourself with people that are willing to get on board with the story you want to tell about yourself.
Fantastic. Well, I think we're going to end it there. I appreciate you, Gina R. Farrar. Thank you for speaking into us today, giving us a little bit more light and clarity about where we are in the world, and to know that, even if there was one person that felt like, okay, maybe I'm not alone in this, that's just a little bit more hope. So thank you so much.
It has been my pleasure, and I'm so grateful to be a part of something that speaks into the lives of women and really reminds them of the amazing gift that they are to this world. So thank you for letting me be a part of that.
Oh, it's been my honor to be of service to you and your message. And have a wonderful day. And thank you for just bracing it through. We got through.
We won. We won.
All together now, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Take care.
Thanks. You too. Bye.